Well, today we're going to take that plant pot we made a while back and we are going to put a plant in it. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. All right, so this is just one way of making plants, and it's kind of a fun one, and we're not making a specific plant today. We're making just a very generic plant. I don't even know if it's a real one. So what I've got is some 20 gauge stem wire. I've had this forever, but you'll be able to find something similar. I like it because it's already colored green. And I have cut a whole bunch of pieces of wire. Oh, they're probably about 3.5, 4 inches long. I didn't measure, I just whacked them off. They're about 3 inches long. We're going to trim them to size later. And then I've cut a bunch of pieces of masking tape. I'm going to do 2 of these on camera. I've already done several. I'm going to lay our masking tape down, kind of find about where the center is. And this will determine how long your leaf can be. Now you don't have to put your stem all the way to the end. You can if you want. It's however you want your plant to look. And then I'm just going to fold masking tape over. It's okay if there's little wrinkles. We're going to cut away a lot of this masking tape. That one is really wrinkled. That's okay. It can be a wrinkled leaf. But I like to run my thumbnail right along that wire on one side. It's going to be the bottom. Now, let's see if I can do this without wrinkling it this time. I did really well off camera, and the minute I turn the camera on, it messes up. There we go. And if your stem's not straight, that's okay. We can adjust that when we trim. All right, now I have a whole bunch of these already done. So I'm going to go on and do the next step, and then I'll turn the camera off and get the rest of these done. So now you need to decide on a leaf shape. And I'm going to make just kind of an oval shaped leaf. That's what I mean. You're not going to keep this whole piece you put on. Now some people do these out with florist tape. I don't like florist tape. I've never had good luck with it. I've always had much better luck with masking tape. And also I always have masking tape. I don't always have florist tape on hand. It is best if you have these ends matched up, but if you don't, that's okay. It's not going to show, not very much of that bottom one, the one that's longer, is going to show. So this one I didn't get all the way to the end, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm really bad with plants in real life, so having plants in the dollhouse is kind of nice. It's easier to cut if you cut towards the bottom. I was going to do some of these off camera, but I guess I'm not because I'm almost done now. Well, I will go ahead and finish up, and then I'll get my paint and my thing I'm going to sit them in, and we will start painting these. So I'll be right back. All right, I've got some paint mixed together. What I had, I wanted a really dark green, but I didn't have a color that I liked. I love the deepness of this one. This one is deep green black, but it's kind of a bluish green. So what I did is I mixed in some ceramic coat forest green into it, and I don't have it mixed thoroughly. It's a little bit, there's some areas that aren't mixed together. That way I'll have a little variety in my color. This is a chunk of a pool noodle that I cut in half. Get these at Dollar Tree. They're great because they will work really well for holding this. And by cutting it in half, it won't roll around. And now I'm just going to paint all of these leaves that I just made with this paint. When this paint is dry, I'll come back. We'll add a little bit of highlight on some of these, and then we will get them put into our plant pot. So I'll be right back when these are dry. All right, I trimmed the stems, and then I remembered I wanted to add some highlights to the tops of the leaves. So what I've got is the same forest green that I mixed in with the other paint earlier. Sorry if I just moved the camera. And I've got kind of a stiff brush. Now remember I used my thumbnail along the wire on one side. That'll be the bottom side. I'm going to brush this off and just add, I mean, it might not show a lot, but I'm kind of dry brushing and go towards the ends. You don't want it to be really, at least on this one, I don't want it to be really obvious. Now this is where you can replicate a lot of different plants. You could vary your leaf shape and size, and you can make any plant you want. And there are many, many ways to make plants. Some people want all of their plants in their dollhouse to be made with really fancy plant kits and want it to look really realistic. And other people just want, you know, whatever. I like a variety. I like to have a variety of plants in my dollhouse. Probably because I'm really bad with plants in real life, so having them in the dollhouse is a good thing. So I am going to just brush some highlights onto the tips or the tops of all these leaves, and that'll just take a moment to dry. When that's dry, I'll come back and we will plant these. So I'll be right back. All right, the paint on my leaves has dried, and like I said a little bit ago, I did trim the stems just a little bit. Use wire cutters to trim your stems. Be careful. Don't hurt yourself doing that. Now I have my plant pot, and this happens to be the one that we made in the Sunday video. If you haven't seen that tutorial, I will link it. I'll try to remember to link it both at the end of the video and up in the card in the corner and in the blog post. Also, I may not hit all three places. I'll try though. And I've cut a piece of floral foam. This is just some of this floral foam that you can get in pretty much any place they have crafts. And I've cut it so it's small enough it should squeeze down in here. I am going to put a little bit of tacky glue, even though tacky glue is not the best for this. It will work. It will help to hold it in, and just the weight of everything on it is going to help it too. Sit down for a moment. I'm going to squish this in, and I've cut it so it's it's actually pretty tight. Got it in there far enough. Now I'm going to cover the top of it with some more tacky glue. Hopefully it'll stay under camera. And do I have a toothpick? Toothpicks are... Spread this around. It's okay if your foam is broken because we are going to be coating this. Let's get a little more glue in there. Quite a bit of glue is a good idea at this point. And I'm going to get a wet wipe out and then do the next step. I'm going to kind of push this down with my finger, kind of get everything all mushed down. And now I have some dried out used coffee grounds. Now be sure that you use the coffee grounds after you've made coffee with them. A fine grind is best. And then dry them out. I like to dry them out in the oven. If I'm doing, a good time to do that is when you're doing a polymer clay project. And you just put those on put some coffee grounds on a plate back in the corner of your oven and just let them sit in there all day while you're doing your polymer clay. And they'll dry out. But as long as they're really well dried, they will not mold. Now I am going to try and pick the tallest of my leaves. And I like to use a pair of needle nose pliers to do this. Just stick these down in. And I kind of like that height. I don't know if this is a real plant or not. I have no idea if this is looking like a real plant. Now, I like to do this while that glue is still dry, or still wet, so that it dries with my stems in it. I think that helps hold. Let's see if it'll go in without. Oh, I can do it without the pliers on this foam. Some foam, and you can use any foam. You can use regular styrofoam. You can use pretty much anything. It's another tall one, so I'm going to kind of angle this one into the center. going to cut this one off a little more. I want a shorter one on the edge. Then I am going to let this glue dry. And when this glue is dry, I'm going to come back and we're going to put another coat of glue and a little more soil on, and then we'll let that dry. So I'll be right back. All right, my glue has had time to set up, and I'm going to add just a little more because I want to make sure that this is nice and secure in here. Spread it out a little bit with the toothpick. Make sure my leaves are turned the way I want them. And I always do this, I put the leaves in with the glue wet. That way they go through, and this forms a hard shell, which will help to hold your leaves in. Put this over the lid this time. And I'm really going to pile it on. And we're just going to let that sit and have the glue dry. And when the glue gets nice and cured, I'll come back and we can kind of move our plant leaves around to make it look the way we want. And we'll have a finished plant. So I'll be right back. All right, this has dried overnight. So now we can tap it and get the glue, get the extra coffee grounds off. If you've got any spots that are showing, you can always dab in some more glue and put some more coffee grounds in because the glue will show shiny. So let's go ahead and give our plant a little bit of bend and just use your fingers gently. Remember, you don't want to break these. I'm going to kind of bend down the ones that are on the outside. I'm going to leave my inside leaves a little straighter. I'll bend them a little. But there we go. We have a very simple potted plant for the corner of a room in the dollhouse. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure and check the blog post for photos, and I'll have more details over there. If you enjoyed the video, be sure and hit the like button. Leave me a comment. What kinds of things would you like to see in future tutorials? If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you, hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up my next video. Thank you very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.